Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by The Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations and has been recognized by the Sioux Falls Stage Awards with a special distinction for promoting the arts. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. This is incredible. I know we've hit the triple digits, the century mark. We have it in the books. This is episode number 100. Oh my, that sounds good to say. It's a little different aspect for you today, though, because the tables have turned. My thanks to Brittany Hanson, who was recently on the program talking about her acting or singing and so forth. She today is the guest host. And the guest of the Dave Holly Hour is me, Dave Holly. So thank you. It's going to be fun. It's quite interesting. We had a great time getting together and having a fun time talking about me. Yeah, it was a little different. And people have been asking, well, you did that. Was it different, not asking the questions? Nah, pretty much the same BS that comes out of my mouth every week. So here we are. We talk to, normally, the creatives in the Sioux Empire. And for those that are maybe listening for the first time, that would be considered the Metro Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. And kind of going around to Minnesota, Northwest Iowa, even a little bit of Nebraska. And then we've even had an interview from North Dakota when a North Dakota person was in Sioux Falls. So we try to keep it as local and regional as possible, and we've been doing it. We're over 200 guests now, and thank you. As of last Sunday, over 6,000 downloads as well. A lot of fun stuff for you coming up today.
Hey, this is Robin Byrne from the Premier Playhouse, congratulating Dave on his 100th show and his second anniversary.
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day in your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. And the toast is one of my favorite things of the weekend, a weekend eve as we like to call it. And the weekend eve toast goes out this time to every single one of you listening. To every single one of you that has listened in the past, that's been there since day one on episode 1, which was on October 10th of 2019. We survived COVID. We're surviving COVID again, and we're still having fun and still learning more about the arts and entertainment. And that's what makes things great for me. Thank you all for having been along. Thank you all 100 times over. The Weekend Eve Toast has been brought to you by Ale Hop Brewery Tours. No matter what brewery in Sioux Falls is your favorite, you've got 8 to choose from. But no matter which one, Ale Hop Brewery's going to let you and your friends choose any or all of those 8. Best part? Leave the driving to them. They take care of that in a very cool van. Sits up to 6, so you got some friends you can invite. Book your private tours online at alehopbrewerytours.com. If you're already out and about on a weekend, hop on one of their public tours. For more info, call 605-777-2183. That is 605-777-2183. Others have done it, and they say they'd recommend the tour to anyone, beer lover or not. Ale Hop Brewery Tours, where micro fans meet micro brews.
Hello, Dave. Jim Spears here from Art, South Dakota, and congrats on the 100th episode and second anniversary.
Hi, this is Bill Hoffman. Congratulations on the Dave Holly Hour's 100th episode and the second year of existence. Dave, what a great show. We love you, man.
I tell you, it just gets fun all the time. And it's time now for something that weekly has made me smile, has made me laugh, giggle, guffaw, slap my knee silly, chortle, maybe even shed a tear of joy or something. And we call it Honorable Mention. And here's the Honorable Mention. It's really kind of strange to just call it Honorable Mention because she is the number one. She is my heart. She is my soul. She is my love. Miss Carries. The executive administrator of the Dave Holly Hour is to be commended for providing me the love and support that it takes for me to be able to do this each week. This is a labor of love for me for the most part. We make a few bucks here and there, enough to pay subscriptions to post it and so forth. But for the most part, you know, we're putting it about, well, I don't even know how many hours a week we really put into it. But it's for fun. It's for enjoyment. It's because we care. She cares about me to the point that she's told me when I need to shape up. She tells me when I've maybe had too many carbs for my diabetes or what to look out for. But mainly, she keeps loving me and tells me that, and I tell her, and she's my, while it's episode 100, I have something that when we go to bed every night, it's 10 times 10. It's 10 kisses she gets for being my 10. So that's a perfect 100. And in my book, that's what Miss Carries is. So, my love, congrats. You are this week's Honorable Mention. All right, when we come back, episode 100 conversation, guest host Brittany Hanson interviews me on the Dave Holly Hour.
Sure, they have darts, and you've heard me talk about how ruggedly handsome the trivia host is, but all caps fun never stops at the Sky Lounge and Tea. And fun is best had with your friends enjoying live entertainment, as in live and local. Yeah, the Sky Lounge believes in giving you the best bands, solo artists, and comedians from the area. The Neo Johnsons, Elizabeth Hunstead, Skylar Volks, as well as many others. And a great staff will make sure you enjoy your fun at the Sky Lounge in Tea, South Dakota.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or xochiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
We've hit the century mark. This is episode 100 of the Dave Holly Hour.
Hello, this is Alex Gilbert-Trog from the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society, wishing the Dave Holly Hour a happy 100th episode and second anniversary.
Thanks, Alex, and welcome to the Dave Holly Hour. My name is Brittany Hanson, and I am your guest host today as we venture into this 100th episode interviewing the usual host, the talented, the wonderful Dave Holly. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Great to be here. I appreciate this.
How does
this
it
is
feel?
Fun.
The tables have turned.
That they have. And it's really interesting because a friend of mine had kind of brought up the idea one time about doing this as a special, and then I had another friend that is also a podcaster that had somebody do that for him, but it wasn't his 100th. They just had done it for fun. And then I also had somebody else, when I mentioned it, that said they'd be willing to do it. But when I said it to you, your enthusiasm jumped off the microphone and off the speakers and everything else. And it's like, okay, Brittany Hanson, you are the one to do this.
Well, I have so many questions for you, and
well, fire away.
I'm excited to get to know you even more because I feel like everybody knows a little bit about you, and so we're going to
But we don't know all, do we?
Put the puzzle together today.
I like that.
Yeah.
Put the puzzle together.
So I have to ask you right now.
Yeah.
You're not hosting. You're the guest. Are you nervous?
No.
Of course not.
I rarely am nervous about anything in life.
Just cool as a cucumber.
Well, and it all probably stems back to the great advice that my mother gave me one time. So, when I used to have a talk show at Kello AM years ago, every year, one of the Associated Press stories that comes out is, what America is most afraid of. And it is always the same thing. America is afraid of public speaking. They're nervous. So it was coming toward the end of the hour that I had left and on that show, and I said, you know what? I said, it's really not that difficult. Some people do the whole, envisioning the whole audience naked. And some people will tell you to look right above the heads so you're not making eye contact, but they think you are. But my mother had told me about a Reader's Digest article that said, if you're nervous about public speaking, just clench your butt cheeks together as hard as you can for 10 seconds and let go. And then do that with all your major muscles throughout your body, and that'll relax you. Let's go with the endorphins and so forth. So I told that on the radio, and that was the very end. That was the last bit that I said right before it goes to the network news at the top of the hour. The phone rings. I don't even look at the caller ID, and I didn't answer it the usual way, like, hello, I answered it and said, hi, Mom, how are you? I did not tell you that. I told you to stand up straight and throw back your shoulders. I said, yeah, you told me that in 5th grade. This you just told me a few weeks ago.
Well, I won't ask if you're doing that now. But,
no need to.
So I think the question that is appropriate to start off this 100th episode is going back to the beginning and having you talk about how this whole podcast came to be.
Okay. It actually took about 1.5 to 2 years before it actually came to fruition. I wanted to do it because I've been in Citibank, and God bless them for what they provide in terms of me being able to make a living, being able to have time to do this and have the funds to basically make it a labor of love. We get a few bucks in advertising, but it's not much, people. But if you'd like to contribute,
and you go to everything. I mean, that's no
try
cheap,
to exactly. Yeah, we try to get to everything. But it was a few years back that I wanted to do it. I had set a date, and then it just didn't happen. I never stopped working on the whole concept of it and so forth. I was always writing down, possible guests who would be on that guest list. Did the logo, was thinking of everything I was going to need, like the marketing part of it, stickers and, having a good logo and being able to have things to put the logo on. And, thinking through of, at what point do we adventure out and get even a little more into that by, getting some T-shirts or anything along that line, more than just having stickers on things. And so I kept working on that, but my father had passed away, and he passed away on April 4th. And then I was thinking that it was going to start up in the fall, had a really cool date planned. I always knew I wanted to start it on a Thursday, though.
Why Thursday?
A friend that I used to work with in radio, he and I would go for coffee Thursday morning, every Thursday morning, and we'd toast and we'd call it Weekend Eve. Here's to Weekend Eve. So that's why you hear me have that toast every week on the show. But so Dad had passed, and then I set a new date, and summer came along, and we spent time with the grandkids and just having a blast and so forth, and it wasn't happening. And then I got out the largest piece of notepad paper that could stick onto a computer monitor, and in a huge black felt tip wrote 10-10-19, which happened to be a Thursday, and I liked the whole 10-10 thing. So guess what's coming up in just a few days? The 10th of October, it's Sunday, will be the 2nd anniversary of this show.
Wow.
And I just, because at one point I had wanted to do it on the anniversary of my father's passing, which happened to be a Thursday as well, but I just wasn't quite ready for it. But once I finally just wrote it down, put it up in front of the computer monitor, so every time I went into my studio, I'd have to take a look at it. And it was like, let's do it. And I had some equipment. We've progressed since then, and just, was able to at least get a show done. Robin Byrne, from the now Premier Playhouse, executive director, was my very first guest. And then the second guest on the first show was Jillian Gunlicks, who up until just a month ago was our downstairs neighbor. And she's an artist. She's the one that has painted many of the angel wings that you see around town where you can have your picture taken. And she paints quite a few murals. She also does live wedding paintings.
That is cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then she also does portraiture. Did I say that right? Pet portraiture.
There it is.
I knew I was a little dyslexic on that one somehow. And she does wonderful work and just a great person. And we loved her and her daughter. She was a single mom, and we had a great relationship with her. So she was my second one. And then on my first anniversary a year ago, I had both of them back on that, we got, 52 episodes are in the book now. Here we go. And so I had them back, and just to get the difference. Robin's been on a few other times as well, and just adore that man. He is just, but what was interesting is I was originally thinking it was going to be very similar to the format of what I had when I worked at Kilauea on a talk show.
Yeah.
And so I had all these different ideas of little things to put in. And then the first interview with Robin was over half an hour. And I got to rethinking it. Forget the little, cheesy stuff and so forth. That sounds a lot like radio.
Yeah.
And do what you do best. And I feel that is being able to interview people. And I don't even like using the word interview. I like to use conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. And my wife has told me recently, she said, you have a great way of asking questions without a question mark. That I can lead somebody into something without having to say, so what time on what date was it that you, and I could just say, hey, that time that you were going out, having a couple extra beers. And then they just go on about it and so forth. So that's what I enjoy. And I realized what it was going to become, too, because at first I was thinking it was going to be, arts and entertainment, but also, maybe the mayor occasionally, school board president, a few social issues type thing and so forth. And I thought, no, what's really unique about this versus when you're in radio is that I get the opportunity to talk to somebody, have a great conversation with them for a lengthy time, and we find out more. It's not just the usual 3 to 7 minutes you might get on a local radio station for your event where they say, so how much are tickets, where can you get them, what time's the shows again, and blah, 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 and then they got to go.
Auctioneer style.
Right. And I just thought, here's the opportunity that we can get past, because people probably already know about the productions. They probably already know whether it's in their budget to go to the show, things like that. But how much do they know about the person directing it? How much do they know about an actress such as yourself? And,
it's the people behind the
right.
art.
And I have loved that part of it, because I figured out my passion is talking to other people about their passion. Yeah.
Well, you're very good at it.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's very fun. Oh, that's so great. And it sounds like there were a lot of people that played a role in this coming to fruition. And I know you mentioned, your dad in a sense, and then the Thursday friend, and but your wife, I know, she's been a huge part of this.
And Jeremy Haig from Haig Brothers.
Yeah.
We were at a party with him recently, and when I got up to go get another drink or go to the bathroom or whatever, he was sitting next to us, and he leaned over and told Carrie, he says, Dave is lucky because he has someone like you that is supportive of what he does. And that's great. But of course, she only thought she was going to have to support me for 3 weeks.
What's that?
when I decided to do it, I'd been talking about it, and then I finally, laid it down. We're going to do it. And she now admits that she thought it would maybe go 3 episodes.
How's that feel?
Yeah. And it's like, well, we blew that out of the water. But I can understand because, the first episode, I had a kind of a lengthy monologue to begin with about what I'd been doing since I'd been out of radio for 8 years, all the different things that had happened to me, including, 11 surgeries from the waist on down during a decade.
Jeez.
Lost a toe to diabetes. Got a hip replacement, got a knee replacement. And so I knew that, life has some curveballs that it throws you. So I said, I'm only going to promise that I'm going to try to do it every week. And I said, because I don't know what life has in store at different times. And so we got the first one done. Second one, well, okay, 2 in a row. And then I got to start counting. And even for quite a while, I would, have fun with the numbers, lucky number 13, the Trinity with number 3, and find different things for that. But it was just, I had a sense of pride. And there was a time in my life when I didn't have that. And I know this is not the most listened to podcast in the world, but the people that listen to it are loyal. And they're people that I really care about, and people that I enjoy, going either to see or to just enjoy company, go out and have a drink, go out for dinner, whatever. So they're good people, and I like that. And like I said, they're loyal people, and that's a good feeling. And I like, when they throw out a compliment. I'm not fishing for compliments, but the best one actually has come from my wife's boss, one of her 2 bosses. He said, and he started listening right away, and a very good fan, Dr. Perry Langston, chiropractor. And he said, he says, your show is like eavesdropping on a great conversation between 2 really interesting people. And I love that one.
Yeah.
And so that one's on the website even, It's like, wow, that was cool. Like that.
Yeah, that feels good. So how does it feel now to be at, 2 years, 100 episodes?
Feels great.
Yeah.
Because, and I have no, inkling as to not doing it anymore. It's not like, well, I did that. Okay, we can mark it off, do the bucket list thing or whatever. I want to keep going as long as I can keep going. I've only missed 4 episodes. During that time, 2 during the COVID when it first really hit. I'm not a big fan of doing the Zoom. Wasn't a big fan
doing the
of
Zoom.
doing
I love
the Zoom.
That.
Yeah,
true.
we're going to give it a verbiage, and not necessarily a huge fan of doing a phone interview. I love being face to face.
Yeah.
I think that adds to the conversation.
Yep, you can really read.
Right.
Yeah.
And. So I did a couple Zoom calls, and then I got this latest addition to the equipment.
It's pretty cool, guys.
Yeah, and it actually allows me to do a very nice phone, as long as whoever you're calling has a good phone.
Right.
And it works really, really well. So I did one of those, but there were 2 I didn't do because of COVID, because everybody was, sitting back doing nothing. There wasn't anything to talk about. And then finally people started to, come up with all these virtual ideas as to how to have a show. So we missed 2 for those. And then last year, since it comes out on Thursday, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve were both Thursdays.
Understandable.
You know what? And
enjoy your family.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, okay, so I can't get off from my real job on those 2 days, but I'm the boss of this. I can take those 2 days off.
You sure can. So you've had a lot of different guests on the show.
Oh boy, have I.
And so what would you say makes a good guest? Like what makes it a great conversation? Like you said, eavesdropping on interesting people.
Right.
And how many people would you say you've met that you had never met before?
That's the thing. Because when I was starting to write down that whole list of who could be guests and so forth, I'd be at least 50. I don't know if I had 100 on that list, but well over 50. And I've only interviewed about 30, 35 of those people. Because in the meantime, I've met people and said to myself, wow, got to have this person on. Well, first of all, I had not met Robin Byrne even, but I had just been to, it was the ABBA show.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia, thank you. And which is what we say down here at Our Wine Bar. Thank you, Ricardo, having a nice Our Wine Merlot.
We are. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Thank you for doing this. I think this is just so cool.
It is fun.
Okay, so where were we? Oh, we're talking about the people.
The people, yeah.
Right. That's the interview and so forth. So I've only gotten to about 35 on that list.
Yeah.
And I hadn't met Robin Byrne. I knew Jillian. And knew some of the other people that I was going to be interviewing because I had an association with them either through improv or doing some of the interactive dinner theater plays.
Yeah. You're like the ultimate fan. You are. You're the ultimate fan.
See, my wife asked me that sometimes. She says, okay, you've really got, 2 or 3 different groups. Which one's your favorite? The arts, the musicians, or the actors? It's like, no, don't ask me to choose my favorite child.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. But, I knew I wanted to have at least one former broadcaster on, and that was my friend Chad McKenzie. We got fired on the same day years ago when a company came into town and said, oh, there's not going to be any changes. And then the first day, 7 of us were gone. But I knew
You've bonded.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted him on. And then there's a current radio guy, K-Back Radio's Crazy Frank Karaoke. And
his name is Crazy Frank. What's not to like?
Exactly. And he is so fun. And, he lets things go. In fact, well, after we discuss this part, I think I may just bring up Crazy Frank and I'll let you hear the recording that he and I did for what he was going to say here today.
That'd be awesome.
Because it's basically unedited. But, there's somebody that I knew because we go out and see him when he does karaoke. And we love to karaoke out at Red Rock over in Rowena and have a blast with Frank. And just got to know him that way, really. And then, the second episode, and this is kind of funny how it shows how podcasting works by getting downloads and so forth. The second show, I had one guest, Bob Wendland.
King.
Yes. And so first of all, I had not met him. I had seen him in the shows and so forth.
That's how we were, too.
Yeah, exactly. And what was so fun was, he came in and we sat down and we just started to chat and it went on. And it's like, man, this is wonderful. And then when it came out, because the way that it works for me is that when I have somebody on, the main thing I ask of them is to share it. Mm-hmm. Social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you use. That's really about all I ask. And it makes a difference. And so Bob was on that second episode. And he shares it. And he also hashtags every single person he mentioned in the interview. And all of a sudden, because that first show came out, and, I'm sitting there waiting at, 6 o'clock in the morning. And, God, he's got a couple of downloads. That's cool. Oh, wow. By the end of the day, like 20. I'm like, oh, wow. I had no idea what to expect. Yeah. I'm just excited that at least 20 people did this.
Yeah.
And then Bob comes on, hashtags all these people, and by the end of the day, 76. And what I see now is every time there's a new episode, it'll get X amount of downloads that first week. But yet, even episode number 1, we'll get another download maybe, and they'll start searching through them as to who the guests were and who they want to hear more about.
Yeah.
And they'll start downloading those. And so thanks to all that, as of this past Sunday, now over 6,000 downloads.
Holy cow!
Yeah, and
That's
it wasn't
amazing.
that long ago that it was 5,000. So that's what's been nice to see it grow that way, because it takes a while, unless you're Joe Rogan and you get, millions every day. But
you'll get there. You'll get there.
I'm not worried about getting there. I just want to have fun with what I'm doing and, make enough money to pay the subscriptions for it and so forth.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
But, so should we do Frank here?
Yeah, let's hear Frank.
Okay. It'll take just a moment here to get Frank set up. And we'll even give that, British guy that does the free jingles for me some time here too.
We've hit the century mark. This is episode 100 of the Dave Holly Hour.
Hey, this is Crazy Frank with K-Back Radio. Congratulations, Dave Holly. Dave Holly Hour for his... I already forgot. 100. You're not that old, are you?
No.
100th episode. Your 100th episode. Your second anniversary?
Second anniversary.
Holy shit. How did you pull that off?
Oh my gosh, I was trying to be quiet during the whole thing, but I couldn't even hold it in.
Don't worry about it. No, laugh at
I
that.
like Crazy Frank.
He's a dandy.
Oh my gosh.
Brilliant man.
Will you bring him back again, you think?
Yeah, he'll be back on again. He was on pretty early on, like within the first 10 episodes maybe. And he was the first guy in town to go completely digital with all the karaoke tunes. And not have to lug around CDs.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have books and slips. Get out your phone, go to crazyfrankkaraoke.com and look up either by artist or by title and go to it. And
so what's your number there, Dave? What's the song for you?
The song for karaoke? Mac the Knife.
Mac the Knife.
Yes. Oh, the shark babe has such teeth, dear, and he shows them pearly white. Yeah, love that tune.
So that's the one. And your wife goes karaokeing with you too. Does she?
She goes karaokeing.
So she's a supporter.
Yes. We have a group of about 6 or 7 of us that go quite often together, and there are 3 karaokeers. My wife and then the fashionista of the show, Elijah. He does the same thing. They both know the lyrics to every single song. Wouldn't even need to use the screen. But they will not get up and now Graham.
They just need to pinch their butt cheeks together,
exactly.
Right?
10 seconds. That's all it is. But Graham, our friend the Gramster, he will usually sing one song at karaoke. Da-dun-da-da-da-da. Tequila, so he's got to say that like 3 times. But
and he's got the crowd. You get the crowd
exactly
wrapped around your finger with that one song.
It's a great tune. Yeah.
All right, so you do the Mac the Knife, and then you have another drink, and then what's number 2?
That would be Frank Sinatra, "Luck Be a Lady Tonight."
Ooh, quite different, kind of.
But I'm allowed, nostalgia, very
jazzy guy.
Rat Pack type stuff and so forth.
Oh,
yeah, I like that a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So did you ever play an instrument?
I did. I played in concert band. I played the baritone. And then in jazz band, transferred over to the valve trombone.
Nice.
It's basically it's just what you're doing with a baritone, except it's got a brassier sound instead of the deeper, rich, mellow. And it was very fun. And there are several listeners that have heard this story several times, but I have to tell it again. Before I started this show, a few years back, my high school band teacher was on his last days, and he was up here in Sanford. Went to see him, and they had done a biopsy in his mouth that day, so it was filled with gauze, and he couldn't speak or anything, but his eyes could twinkle. And I went up to him and I said, "Tom, I want to tell you 2 things." I said, first of all, anytime anybody ever finds out that I've been in radio, they always ask the same question. "What's your favorite music?" And I said, I've never wavered in my answer. Good. Because he taught us so much. That's probably why I have such a love of Rat Pack era songs and so forth. Because one that we played every year was Glenn Miller, In the Mood.
Yep.
So, and here's what's sad these days with music education, because it's not funded well enough to be able to do it more. They don't learn the music history and learn the appreciation of things that were before them. I was not around in the 1940s, although Crazy Frank might think I was. But I love Glenn Miller. I love big band music.
Yeah.
And all the other things that came along in jazz band. Well, the second thing that I told him then was, all the athletic type things, certificates, ribbons, medals, what have you, Letterman's jacket, outgrew that long ago. That stuff is all gone. I have one thing I have kept on for memories of high school, and that's the Louis Armstrong Jazz Award you gave me when I was a senior.
And you still have it.
I still have it. Yeah. Huh. I cherish that.
So how long did you play for?
Oh, I started in 5th grade and played through high school.
Yeah.
Would love to find a good valve trombone and get back to playing at some point. And ironically, we're going to have a trombonist on here in a few weeks.
For real?
Yeah, Ken Hoyne.
Segue, everyone. Come back. So you talk a lot about your history in the biz. I mean, you have a voice for radio, right? When did somebody tell you that, or did someone?
I was
ever
a
say
sophomore.
That? Okay.
I grew up down in Rock Rapids, and you went out and you drove around town, a town of 2,000.
That's what you did for fun.
Pretty much.
That's what we did, and it wasn't that long ago. That was all there was to do. We just rode around.
And Clark Otters was a senior and a good friend. He'd been a friend for a long time already. And I called him up on a Saturday night, and I said, "Hey, Clark, we going out tonight?" He says, "Who is this?" I said, "It's Dave." He says, "Man, you got a great voice. Have you thought about doing radio?" And that sparked it. Prior to that, I thought I was going to be a photographer.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
I love photography and don't do it much anymore. Sold all the equipment. But I was to the point that, and here's something for you kids, it was called a dark room, where you developed pictures and put them on paper and printed them. But I had my own... Yeah, I had my own darkroom in the house I grew up in.
Wow.
I was that into it and so forth, and just loved it. But
you
life
traded that
changes.
Equipment for some others that I'm looking at right now. Awesome. And did you know you were gonna someday have your own podcast? I mean, did you ever think?
Well, when I started in radio on September 17th of 1980. There was no such word as podcast. No such thing as it. I knew I wanted to be on the radio. And I did a variety of things. My first full-time job, I was actually an ag director. I did the farm news out at KFKA in Greeley, Colorado. I've been a news director. I've been on the air. Variety of things, and but then the crazy thing about our community, we have 16 commercially licensed radio stations, quote unquote, in town here. Although they get to use, based off of where the transmitter is, they get to use that as their name. So we really don't. But by the same token, let's be honest, we have 2 buildings. They have 8 radio stations in them each. Mm-hmm. Now, back on that date in September of 1980, there were only about 1/5 the number of radio stations that there are now. But there were 5 times as many announcers that were employed in it. Because you had a morning man, you had a sportsman, you had a newsman, you had an ag director, you had afternoon guy, you had the evening guy. And this was even before there was much 24-hour radio. And they had that many people on staff. And you knew you weren't going to get paid much, but you did it because you loved it.
Yeah.
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 It was just fantastic.
Well, with that, why don't we just take a brief break here and hear from a few other people?
All right. Sounds good to me.
We are celebrating.
Hey, this is Ryan Fossum, previous guest of the Dave Holly Hour, and I just wanted to say thank you, Dave, for having me on. And honestly, it's a blessing to be 100 episodes deep and 2 years experience. You are one of my best friends. I love you. Dave Holly Hour forever.
Hi, my name is Jesse Moffett, and I'm not a piano player. I'm a comic magician and hypnotist. I've been performing for over 20 years. I've performed at many events, corporate events, holiday parties, post-prom parties, graduation parties, state and county fairs, festivals, just about anything you can imagine. The funniest thing about the Magic Act is that I use a ton of audience participation, and that can make things really interesting.
Put it down the front of your shirt. Stop being so, I'm not, my hand won't follow.
The best thing about the hypnosis show is that the volunteers and their imaginations really make it a blast.
Holy crap, dude, did you see what you just did? You could do that possibly to girls.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffett Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
We've hit the century mark. This is episode 100 of the Dave Holly Hour.
Hi, everybody. This is Jeremy Haig with the Haig Brothers and Spoon Cat, among other terrible ideas. But one great idea is Dave Holly and his podcast about the downtown art scene. Congratulations on episode number 100, my friend.
Nice.
How about that?
I love that.
That darn Jeremy.
I think
what
a lot
guy.
of people are pretty keen on this whole Dave Holly Hour. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. And it's been fun. And like you said, one of the great things is the fact I get to meet so many new people and build relationships. We've only known each other literally a few months.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those things that sparked.
It just clicked.
It's like, wow, what a great person,
Ditto. Yeah, when we, because it's so funny to be the guest host today. By the way, hello again, Brittany Hanson here. This is my second time
That's
on a
right.
podcast ever. And so after just meeting you the one time to have that conversation, now I'm back again. So that's pretty cool.
Very, very
and
well.
that's the beauty of
Right.
you and this podcast. And that's just so cool.
Yeah, we try to have a lot of fun. We try to get as many on as we can. But also, I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to have people on again. Let's see, we have a couple of people that lead the way on that. We have John Gaskins from Sioux Falls Canaries. He's the entertainment director for the Canaries, and a good friend. And he's one of those that, hey, can I be on? So I go, okay.
Okay.
Here comes a great hour just with John, because he can spin a tale. But it's just, we have a lot of fun together. And so he's up there. Elizabeth Hunstead, the original friend of the show, who we will hear from later as well, has been on 4 times. And we've got a few other that have been on 4, a couple 3s, lots of 2s.
Yeah.
And now what's
because
interesting.
they keep doing it. They keep doing the stuff, and then you want to hear about the newest thing. And
here's what's been so great about it is, it took almost a year and a half for this part to come about.
Right.
Where people will say, hey, can I be back on? I've got an event coming up I'd like to talk about. Sure. And that's great. So I still have, a huge list of names because now I've added on to those others that were originally on there that I have met over the past year and a half that just keeps adding to the bill. And it's like, just like I just went to see Blood Brothers.
So cool.
Oh, wow. I think I could have cried for half an hour. No. I could have cried for half a day after that. It was so emotional and so well done.
Well done.
And I had not met Tristan, who was the narrator, and Tristan Chasing Hawk just was wow. And everybody in that the whole cast was wow.
Yeah.
And it's like I had to friend him right away on Facebook and Instagram and say, haven't met you yet, but you're gonna be on my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was just phenomenal job.
Cool. Oh, I love that. And you are a huge supporter of the arts.
Yes.
And you have a day job and you do this, but I think something that I sort of asked you the last time we were together was about your other jobs. I mean, you've had other gigs, but tell us one other job you've had before. Because you've had a smorgasbord of
I have. Are we talking in the media or are we talking
outside of the media?
Outside of the media.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of the media, yes. I was employed, I did about 5 years in men's retail, selling suits. Enjoyed that. Had a great job. And then I tried selling jewelry in the mall. That was a much tougher. I mean, that one takes a knack to sell versus clothing. Because it's a luxury item and not a need like the clothing part is. And then I've also, I don't want to say stooped as low. I want to try and say I am not afraid to not be unemployed. And so I worked at a convenience store for about a year.
Convenience store.
Yeah.
That was my first job
and
ever.
You learn a lot. And and then I even went back, my second high school job was working at Hy-Vee. And I've actually worked at Hy-Vee here in Sioux Falls, 10 or 12 years back now, probably. And, I don't want to be completely idle. I do love to lay around and soak up a beer or soak up a Jack Daniels.
But then go on to the next thing.
Yeah. Because I've had several times where I've been not out of work, but I've been laid off, not even laid off. I've been on leave of absence for surgeries.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, 6 weeks. Oh, that's going to be kind of cool. Those first 2 weeks go by like a 2-week vacation might have. Third week, you're starting to read every book you have and see every movie you've not seen over the past few years. Fourth week, you're taking a lot of naps, doing nothing. Week 5
eating
and
things
6,
because you're bored.
going, oh, come on. When do I get to go back to work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's been your favorite non-media job that you've ever had?
Hy-Vee. As a kid, though, I loved it because it was back before all the digital stuff. That's when you actually carried out groceries for people.
Is that what you did?
I did, and I absolutely loved it.
Getting buff arms and helping
sweet
people.
Oh, yeah. And, some of the high school girls that I knew would, none of them ever dated me, though.
Oh. Well, I think you lucked out anyway.
I did.
You did.
It's funny how life happens and what takes place.
So if there was, back to the arts part too, like are there things that, if there was one thing that would get you on stage in front of many, not just your voice, but you, Dave Holly, what would it be? Would it be singing? Would it be acting? Would it be doing art? What would it be?
I would love to sing in front of a big crowd.
Yeah?
I would love that.
Would you sing Mac the Knife?
Yes, I would.
Darn right.
I've done some one-man shows, including, a smattering of magic and skits and a little song and dance.
You know magic?
Some.
How is that just coming up? Okay.
Because I'm pretty well trying to sell everything in magic that I have, because podcasting has become the passion.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a change, yeah?
Yeah, that's true. But the other thing would be if we could get a really, really big crowd to do improv.
Oh, yeah?
I love improv. I have given it up the past 2 years because I concentrated on this.
Yeah.
But there is talk of maybe getting our group. There's some great groups out there right now, especially Improv Falls. Man, those people are amazing. But they're also young and they can move. You've had a hip replacement.
Very agile.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I saw Emily Wilson do a cartwheel. She does a cartwheel in improv. And I'm like, what the hell? And I can never do that. Yeah.
She's like squatting and jumping.
I can't even sit down and get back up off the floor. So I'm a little limited in what I can do. Plus, at my age, I don't know all the hip people.
False. I'm going to call false. You know so many hip people. They're all on your show, man.
No, I meant, big celebrities, big time,
right.
current music especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hardly know anybody. Tell me, at least Lady Gaga, I know who she is. And a couple of the country people. My music, my library is expansive, but it pretty well ended about 1985. It has to be really good if it comes out after that year.
The glory days.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So singing would be the tickets, and then maybe some improv with a group.
And I'll tell you, you never stop learning. You never stop trying to better yourself. So at the age of 58, what did I do this past summer? took voice lessons.
Did you?
Yes,
Oh
from
my
Amy Morrison.
She gave me my voice.
Oh.
It was her. She was my voice teacher. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
She knows what she's doing.
Yes,
I
she
tell you
does.
what.
Man, I learned so much, and so
you're waiting to use it. You're ready to
oh,
break
yeah.
out.
Well, I can tell, just when we go out in karaoke and so forth, that there's a difference in how I approach it, and how the stomach muscles and the lungs and everything work together, and it was very beneficial. So don't sit there and say, "Oh, I'm too old to do this."
Yeah. Is there a skill that you wish you had that in the arts or entertainment that you? What are you?
I wish I could draw.
Drawing.
Yeah, drawing or painting.
Yeah.
I
art.
make some doodles, and I love to do a lot of things in colored pencil. That's my favorite medium to work in.
Yeah. Look at you talking the talk. Your favorite medium. You know things.
But the other thing is, I also, if I had the memory to remember lines, I would love to be in a full production again. But wow, I can't remember what I ate for breakfast. So
honestly, you told me what to say when we first started, and I was like, could you repeat that? So it happens to everyone.
True.
But art, okay, like the visual art.
Yeah.
I can't do much for drawing.
I'm
either,
jealous of that. Oh, and the other thing I'm really jealous of, people that can play guitar or play the piano.
Yes.
Oh my.
You have to move both hands at once, and they're doing different things.
Or people that play a drum set.
Yeah.
Both feet, both hands.
Seriously.
It's like,
if anyone could see us now, we're doing like the weird arms to go with it because we don't have the coordination.
Well, maybe in the future, as the Dave Holly Hour progresses, we might go to video.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully not on this one.
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool to know. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just everyone does have things that they do really well and things that they wish they would do. And like you said, you're never too old.
Right.
Yeah. I get that community education like pamphlet in the mail from.
I know.
Yes, and I'm like, I should learn all these things. One of them was like fencing. They had a fencing class, and I was like, sign me up. But yeah, they just have so many, and it's meant for people because you can feel a little old going back doing things. Even me taking some dance lessons, which I've done, which I did in college. I never did dance before that. They're all so young and little, and you just feel like I shouldn't. I don't belong here. So I do like that. You're never too old, and you are always welcome back. You just have to get over yourself, which is good. It's good for all of us.
That it is.
Do we have some other people that we want to hear from?
Oh my goodness! Well, we heard Elizabeth, or we mentioned Elizabeth being the first official friend of the show.
Yeah.
Well, let's just.
Is she the pet portrait, or is she the?
No, Elizabeth Hunstead. Who plays piano and sings and so forth.
Which we can't do. We can't play piano.
Exactly.
All right, let's hear from her.
However, Santa sings with her.
We've hit the century mark. This is episode 100 of the Dave Holly Hour.
Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth Hunstead, the original friend of the show of the Dave Holly Hour show. And I'm just here to congratulate and celebrate the 100th show, the second anniversary of the Dave Holly Hour.
There we go.
Love it.
Yeah.
The piano player, singer,
and
all
see,
the
she's
things.
another one that I had seen. She played down at Woodgrain, and went up and introduced myself to her, and I said I'll be in contact. And about a week later, and then we set it up for the following week, and just another one of those like you, like clicked, boom, and then last year, a certain jolly fellow in a red velvet suit. Did 3 gigs with her, and we're hoping to do more than that this year. Wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge. If you'd like to have Santa and a great piano singer at your party, please contact us.
Santa wants to do some singing.
Yeah, he does.
So you just brought up, we're downtown right now at our wine bar.
Yeah.
You just brought up Woodgrain. Do you have a favorite hangout spot?
Oh, wow. You see, it's tough for me to answer
I know,
that.
your favorite children. I know.
Yeah, well,
Choosing
not
between your
so much
favorites.
that. It's just that I love our wine with everything that Ricardo does for the arts.
You guys,
it's
if you could
fantastic.
smell it right now, it smells amazing.
Oh, yeah. And love Woodgrain because one of its owners is a very dear friend of mine. And Woodgrain is very cool. My problem is with my diabetes, I can't drink beer.
No beer at all.
I love beer.
You're
well,
right.
I will have one once in a while, but my blood sugar, I can count on it being over 250 the next morning. But if I drink Jack Daniels and Diet Coke,
No
I can drink all night. Yeah, 106 in the morning. It's
No
let's
problemo.
go back out again. Yeah. So the places that we hang, regrettably, most of them don't have alcohol licenses, just beer and wine.
Yeah.
But occasionally you got to have a burger over at Tommy Jack's and have a drink, or go out to Rowena, Red Rock, have a drink, and a great cheeseburger. Oh, and just, spend the extra money, put all 3 cheeses on it. It's best. And then we do spend a lot of time a little bit south in Tea at the lovely Sky Lounge, because I host trivia down there. And then we also try to get down there, other times to support them. Most recently, Crazy Frank did his first time doing karaoke down
I feel
there.
like Crazy Frank and I are friends already, just
I
from
think
talking
so.
about it.
Oh, yeah, he'd love you. Yeah, he's a great. He's just so fun. And he says what's on his mind, doesn't care what the reaction might be, and he can usually back it up too, whatever he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the trivia. Do you come up
Yeah.
with the questions?
Actually, Carrie writes quite a few of them.
Oh.
Yeah, especially if it's
She
not.
is your like.
Oh,
she's the one.
She is.
I mean, gosh.
Like last week, she did all but one round of it.
Hey.
And so 6
does
out
she
of 10
come up
rounds.
with them herself?
Yeah.
So she knows a lot about lots of things.
Well, she even told me that was one of the first things she says. I know a lot of useless knowledge. I said, well, that's good, because I love trivia. And but if it's a specific one, then we'll spend the night together on a Sunday night prior to the Friday that we're going to host it. And especially particular show, like if you were to do a Ted Lasso one now.
Oh, sure. That's the theme.
We would, and we would do a lot, sitting together writing them out. She'll sit there and she'll write, and I'll look things up. And
Do they just write the answer for this one, right? They don't get options. They just have to.
Correct.
Because I feel like that's the hardest part sometimes, is
we
like
do
coming up
have
with the wrong answers.
Yeah, typically every round we do have one true or false and one multiple choice.
Okay, yeah, the multiple choice, when you have to come up with the other wrong answers, that's the hardest part.
True.
Actually.
Yeah.
I did do a trivia for my husband for his 30th birthday.
Oh, fun.
His favorite TV shows are The Office, Friends, and How I Met Your Mother.
Uh-huh.
And so I did those 3 plus Brandon themed trivia.
Okay.
And I mixed them all together.
Oh, fun.
And we did it on Zoom, because it was like April of 2020, so we'd just all like been sent home. And I was like, how am I going to do a cool 30th birthday? And so I got this like trivia platform thing, and I used him as my like guinea pig, and created it all, had all the friends show up, and it was so fun. But coming up with the wrong answers, I tell you what, that was the hardest part. But trivia is so fun. But I always think of like the Snapple facts, on the bottom of the Snapple lid, and then you forget it like half an hour later, and you're like, darn, but did I want that in my brain? I don't know. But that's so cool. So you've been to a lot of you've made your home Sioux Falls,
Right.
but also a lot of
We-
spots around here.
We go down quite often to Old Town Theater.
Yeah.
And then we
Ribbing.
also go over to Corson Mighty Arts Players.
Yeah.
And have met some fantastic people through that. So we try to get around and help out.
Yeah. What's the you mentioned that you lived in Colorado? Is that
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So where else have you stamped the Dave Holly mark?
Several abodes, but not that many cities.
Okay.
Grew up in Rock Rapids. Went to college briefly in Lamar's, Iowa, and then transferred and spent 3.5 years at Southwest Minnesota State in Marshall, Minnesota. I am a Mustang alum. Loved my time there. Just was great. And then got my first job outside of college, and was in Colorado then for 1.5 years, and I got married the first time. Came back for that. We lived in Rock Rapids because my father had a $100 a month little house on rental. So did that before buying, and then eventually moved up to Laverne because that's where I was working for several years.
Yep.
And then got a job up in Brookings and lived in Sioux Falls for that, and been here ever since. So I know that the 58 miles from the 26th Street exit on I-29 to the KBRK studios can be made in 38 minutes. But I had the benefit of A, working mornings,
Yeah.
and
that's true.
B, having a faithful listener that was a highway patrolman that told me, we don't have anybody on duty until 5:30. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't hear from you, but thanks. That's awesome. So Sioux Falls is home, though, now.
Oh, it is, definitely. I consider myself, even though I'm not a native South Dakotan, I consider myself a South Dakotan. Definitely a Sioux Falls person.
Me too.
Because growing up down in Rock Rapids, the big thing was to come up to Sioux Falls. And here's how much it's changed. The first time I remember reading a population sign coming up here, it was 80,000. Now that sign says 198,000. Yeah. But it's been fun to see how the place has grown, all the transitions it's gone through, and what especially the past decade has done in terms of arts and entertainment, and how it's just blossomed, and it's been so much fun. But yeah, I definitely love Sioux Falls.
And I know you love the arts of Sioux Falls, but what else makes it great to you and your wife?
Oh, good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the
just,
people, isn't it?
Right, and the opportunity to go out, it's got, I know that the statistic is actually that Sioux Falls has the most restaurants per capita in the United States. Now, a lot of those are Burger Kings, Dairy Queens, and McDonald's, and Taco John's, Taco Bell, etc. But the local restaurants are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I think what's been really cool with that has been the atmosphere that each of them provides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Such
They're also
great-
unique.
Yeah.
They have their own specific, brand that
that
everyone knows.
And then you'll also find, a little hole in the wall. Sadly, she retired, but Whiffer's Sandwiches was one of my absolute favorite places in the world.
Oh, that's cool. I hate when that happens. Your favorite places. Yep.
I know. Well, just like recently we took my 93-year-old mother down to Lake Okoboji. There is a place down there that she and Dad found many years ago called the Dry Dock. And they would always have a Reuben and a Bloody Mary with a beer chaser.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we took her down there for breakfast because they also have amazing breakfasts. We still had the Bloody Mary and the beer chaser. But that was probably the last time we were there because it sadly is going to move on and become condominiums. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you took her when you did then.
Yeah. We're happy that we were able to do that.
Yeah.
It was fun day.
It's hard. Change is hard right at first. And then when you finally see what comes to fruition, and then it's like, okay, but change can be hard, but it's helped Sioux Falls a ton.
Oh, has it ever?
I mean, it's different than when I moved here 10 years ago or whatever. And it's different for you when you've been here a long time.
Yeah.
So
I think I've been in town 25 years now.
Yeah. Quarter of a century.
I know it.
Wowza.
I remember when I
Celebrating
turned
centennial.
25 and it was like a quarter of a century that I'd lived. And then a half century.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just keep celebrating. That's what it's about.
See, I'd love to celebrate. And my wife and I are both big on birthdays.
Yeah?
We love them. We both have December birthdays. And she calls hers a birthday month because hers is 2 days after Christmas. And growing up, hers
That's
was
tough.
forgotten.
Yep. My sister-in-law's birthday is Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve,
During the
okay.
middle of Christmas Eve service when she was little, apparently she yelled, "I don't want to share my birthday with Jesus," in the middle of Christmas Eve service. So
that's excellent. I love it.
at least hers was 2 days after, so that never happened.
Yeah. And then mine's the 15th.
So further enough. But yeah.
But I found out in 7th or 8th grade it was that Mom and Dad finally came up to me and said, you're liking bigger presents now because of your age and so forth. So do you want one big present for birthday and Christmas or 2 smaller ones? And I said, one big one. And then the best part about it is every time after that, they'd still give me one big one for my birthday on the 15th. Mom couldn't hold back to get me more stuff for Christmas.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Mine's in January.
Okay.
So they would do the same thing. Like they would be like, this is for both. This is for Christmas and your birthday. But then my mom couldn't help herself but get more stuff. Or it was like you would get like, I remember getting the iPod for Christmas. When those first came out, I got an iPod. And then for my birthday, I got all the accessories, like the case and like a gift card to download the stuff. So she's a gift giver in like packages. It always has like a theme and you get all the accessories with it. So yeah, but that's pretty funny. I had the same experience too.
I love it. Yeah.
So I don't know how much time we have left, but I really want to.
It's a podcast. We don't have to worry about time. It's called the Dave Holly Hour, but usually it goes over. So feel free.
Well, I do have one last quite burning question.
Ooh,
actually,
one last burning question.
Yeah, you've become quite a mentor to many people in the community. Do you have mentors of your own? And like who would you describe as a mentor? And even further, maybe just an inspiration, someone you don't have a relationship with but you draw from.
Oh, wow. There was like I said, my first full-time job was out in Colorado as a farm director. But prior to getting named that, I spent the summer being a reporter at the Denver Broncos training camp.
Which sounds pretty cool.
Very cool. It was John Elway's second year.
Seriously.
Yeah. And
how'd that not come up earlier? That's kind of neat.
And the station that I worked at was, quote unquote, the unofficial host radio station because we were from Greeley, because that's where they held their training camp back then. But every media outlet in Denver, Fort Collins, Pueblo, all around the state would show up and camp there with these huge RVs, 65-foot things. Well, we had at the end of the line this very tiny little, maybe 16-foot camper, the one that kind of looks like a humpback.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what we had, and it had no air conditioning. But that was our remote studio. Well, they had two sessions every day, a morning session and an evening. And during the morning session, it was the year that the Houston Oilers were there to practice with the Broncos. And Houston had a lot of big names on it. It was the legendary coach, Bum Phillips, who was just his character with his cowboy hat and talking like this and so forth. And then there was also Warren Moon. It was his first year in the NFL after having played in the Canadian Football League. And then Mike Rozier from Nebraska was their big running back. So, hordes of people around him. Well, one morning then, I think it was Mike Rozier and Warren Moon. And so had the microphone and tape back then, not digital recording. And so next to us on the, scales of the trailers that you had for remote studios was this 65-foot yacht of an RV that KHOW Sports out of Denver had. And they had this very, legendary for the most part, broadcaster, a sportscaster. And then he went on later and was the voice of traffic in Denver for the most part. Tony LaMonica, he got this big voice like this. So I'm sitting there, standing outside because it was nicer outside than it was in that little trailer. And I'm waiting for the afternoon session, and nobody's around. So I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden, Tony walks by, and he asks if I got any tape during the morning. I said, yeah. I said, I got Mike Rozier, and I got Bum Phillips, and I got Warren Moon. And he says, yeah, I had to miss the morning session because Terry Bradshaw was in Denver recording a commercial. He said, so I had to cover him, and I got a lot of tape on him. You want to swap tape? Well, sure. So he invites me over to the 65-foot land yacht. We go in there. Nice air conditioning, cold beer, leather seats. And then, Tony at that time was probably already in his 60s. And there was a female that was probably only in her 20s that was in there. But that's kind of how Tony rolled. But we're sitting there, and, he could tell I was a newbie. He could tell I was a rookie and cub reporter. And he looks at me and he says, I want you to do me 2 things. I said, okay. He says, never be afraid to ask a stupid question because it might get you the best piece of audio you ever wanted. Second, be yourself. Don't try to emulate anybody. Just be yourself. And so I took that to heart. I had some other great mentors. First of all, my father.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that basically taught me the ability to stand up in public and make a speech. My mother, because she's where I get the creative side. And then my older sister was very instrumental. She's always been a supporter and has believed in me. My wife, of course, is just such an amazing supporter. I've got a dear friend that lives in Dallas, Texas now, named Dakota Crow. He's my best friend, and that man has been a major support. He's employed me at various times.
That's real support right there.
Definitely. And he's just one of those guys that he's an ideas man, and he's got volumes of notebooks that he's written things into about different restaurants, what he would do differently, and anything.
Oh my gosh!
And he's,
I have to tell you, my husband teases me all the time. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm always like, that's a weird idea. Whatever. They should do this or this idea. And he's like, you if you ran the world. That's what he always says.
And then in terms of a high school teacher, Dan Smith, who is still around, and we still get together from time to time. He lives here in Sioux Falls now, and he never gave me great grades. I think the best grade I ever got from him was a B-. It was usually a C+.
Dan.
But
did you say
he's the one Dan.
Come on, Dan.
He's the one I learned the most from. So even though he didn't give me the best grades, he was my best teacher.
Yeah. That's sometimes how it is. I mean,
right.
Usually. Because they are the ones that make you work for it.
Yeah, and so he was very instrumental as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. And talk to me about this Thursday morning friend that you mentioned.
Oh, Dave Roberts. He is the program director at KSOO here in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has the Thursday tradition continued, or is this kind of taking
regrettably,
place of it?
we worked in the same building after he was one of the 7 that got fired on that,
that's right.
that first day as well. And then when I part-timed for him and also filled in a few others, then was briefly employed full-time in that building. We would go occasionally on a Thursday, but
that's cool.
We still run into each other because his wife works at Citibank, but of course nobody at Citibank has seen me for 18 months working from home.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. To hear that those stories that have poured into you, because what you do on this podcast is capture other people's versions of what you just said. So the tables have turned. That's what I really wanted to get at today. I also wanted to ask you about what's next, because this is the 100th episode, and we have more to look forward to.
Yes,
so
we do.
What are there any changes, or what what's exciting that's coming up now when you look forward to the 101st episode?
Okay. A couple of things have already taken place, and that's the fact that the website, I switched the provider for it, and it's completely redesigned. And now, if nothing else, you can always go to davehollyhour.com, and you can play the most recent 6 episodes, and then there's another page that you hit that goes to more episodes. You can play all 100 episodes.
Just from there?
Just from there.
Nice.
Doesn't take Apple, you don't have to be subscribing, but it gives you the options on there. And I like the look of it. And you know what? Kudos to Jason Fitzer. He works at the Washington Pavilion. He's also a photographer. I had been for the past year using on my website for the top banner a picture of the Arc of Dreams. Pretty decent for mine just taking it on a phone.
Well, you do. You are into photography,
right?
We've learned.
And then I took my logo and put it below that, and it looked nice. But then I saw some of Jason's pictures of the Ark, and so I asked him. I said, "Would it be okay?" He says, "Oh yeah, just to tell me which one you want, and I'll give it to you." First of all, I was like, "Okay, thank you." Having the permission to use it, and of course, it does have his name down at the bottom for the copyright and so forth. But and what's cool is the one that I chose has purple and orange.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
So it worked great, and so you'll see a fantastic picture on there. And then on one of the other pages, I'm starting to do some collages to have on those instead of like just one picture, or try to put the latest up for each week's episode. And in fact, that collage includes a young lady that was showing off the Dave Holly Hour water bottle.
Oh,
yes.
That was me. And how did you pick purple and orange, by the way? Was there like a strategy? Because you just brought it up. And
I wanted to have something different. And back in the days when I was a clown.
See, you didn't even talk about that.
Oh, gosh,
that's such a
there's
cool
so
thing.
much stuff. Yeah. We go on for days. And I had a business card made, and I just let a company have at it. I said, here's what I want. It's Big D Entertainment. It wasn't specific to the clowning. It was because I had so many things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so just, take this and, give me some versions of it. And it came back, and it had purple and orange in it for the most part. And then in the stars, it's purple, orange, and green. And so that's really cool. I always loved that. And so then it's like, okay, what do I want to use? Because, you want to keep some of it tied in because it is now part of Big D Entertainment.
It is, yep.
And purple is just it's actually one of the few colors that looks good on a fat guy like me. And so I wear purple well.
Oh, I love it.
It's my high school color.
Mine too.
Yeah. And then orange, partly because of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
when I saw the purple and the orange and the green together, when that logo, from that first logo, it's like, that's really sharp, and it pops, and it's
does.
different.
It is different.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we, I don't know, what was your mascot?
Lion, Central Lions.
Yeah, we were the Camels in high school, and it was purple and gold, but it was purple and yeah, there were a lot of...
we were supposed to be purple and gold, but let's be honest, it was yellow.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, the Camels was a tough mascot,
What high school was this?
This was in Gillette, Wyoming.
Gillette, Wyoming.
And guys, they're still the Camels. And
really?
Yep, it's named Humphrey. It actually looks pretty intimidating. They picked a really scary looking one. But of course, there's a lot of Humphrey jokes. So.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty that could be said on that. In fact, I'm biting my tongue on the punchlines right now.
Yes, I know, right? There it is. But anyway, that's funny. And then the colored pencils. Did you make the logo with your colored pencils?
No.
Okay.
I found an app called Logo Maker, and I knew some things I wanted to do, like the Dave Holly Hour. I wanted that in old typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
Because I originally, when I got into radio, would have to use the old-fashioned typewriters. And then the headphones was something...
Obviously, we're wearing them right now, so fashionably.
Yeah. Although the headphone on the emblem of that logo looks like somebody actually has hair, so that part's wrong. But I just thought it looked cool, and we... came up with it.
I like it. And your wife is really into the marketing stuff.
Yes, she is. Yes.
So
as she says, ABB, always be branding.
She is the right one to be on your
That's for
side,
sure.
help you out. Well, thank you so much for letting me guest host this hour with you.
Thank you.
We want to all wish you well and congratulate you on this 100th episode. There's more to come. We're all excited, but congratulations on this
All
milestone.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I appreciate you doing this as well. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
So this is Jason Fitzer, and I wanted to say congratulations to Dave and the Dave Holly Hour for 100 episodes. Congratulations. How awesome is that?
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
This is Brady.
And this is Katie
From Common Ground. And we just wanted to wish Dave Holly a happy 100th episode and 2-year anniversary. And he's such a big promoter of the arts here and entertainment in Sioux Falls, and we're just so thankful to be a part of it all.
From the Dipsy Doodle Studios at the world headquarters of Big D Entertainment, a 40-square-foot home studio in the middle of America, it's Dave Holly.
Thanks again, everybody. Certainly appreciate all your downloads, all your listens. Like I said, we're over 6,000 downloads now. I'll take it. Episode 100 in the books. We've had over 200 guests on the show. It's great, and you are what keeps it going and keeps it being great. So thank you for the comments. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. The social media shares on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It is superb. Thank you as well to the man, the R behind our wine bar, Ricardo, for allowing us the space and the time to record this week's episode. Certainly appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. Speaking of the R Wine Bar, that's probably where we're headed tonight for some great jazz. Friday night, I'm sure we'll be downtown Sioux Falls or in the midst and finding some live music or some fine, cocktail, maybe. Who knows? Also, Saturday, then, Crazy Frank is at the Red Rock in Rowena. And then today marks the 100th episode. Sunday marks the 2nd anniversary of the show. I didn't know how long it was going to go. I plan on going several more. So thanks again. Thank you as well. A special thank you going out to the assistant editor, Caden Lackey, who's learning how to become a podcaster himself. In the meantime, remember, I'm Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by the Sky Lounge and Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Ale Hop Brewery Tours, and Jesse Moffett Entertainment. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, go to davehollyhour.com. At the bottom of the front page is the additional links section. Click on the orange button, Dave Holly on Linktree. You can order merchandise, become a Dave Holly Hour VIP, and make contributions to the show. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.